Tony Khan has big AEW plans in store for Mercedes Monet now that she is all elite. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what is going on because Mercedes Monet has dominated headlines over the last week following her arrival. It was a notable arrival, and there's been various business metrics and indications as to, well, this was a big deal. Now, I want to preference this before we get into this by noting that Mercedes Monet, unfortunately, she's not CM Punk. She's not the draw that CM Punk did. AEW did make a major flaw with her debut, and that flaw was relying on the buzz among the hardcores, something in which they did with CM Punk's arrival in August of 2021 on Rampage, where you dropped teases, hints that Punk could be coming in. They did the exact same thing with Monet. And while that got them so far, it probably could have got them a lot more if they just went out and said, hey, Monet is going to debut on this show. Because the difference between Punk and Monet is the fact that Punk had been gone from the wrestling business for several years. Monet, well, she's only been gone for a few months, or several months rather, in the summer of 2023 with a broken ankle. There's a big difference there. So, despite the fact that the show did take a hit in the ratings, her segment drew 1 million viewers. It was a highlight of the show, and there was a lot of buzz around it because of her. And I thought Tony Khan did a very good job of building up said show that involved Monet's debut. I've touched upon how Monet is going to have, AEW has the idea of doing a Mercedes Monet segment, and then you have a women's segment or women's segment. I think that's a good idea. She is going to be positioned as a top star, and rightfully so. And that kind of dives into today's video because Tony Khan and Mercedes Monet, they've been making the media rounds following AEW Dynamite Big Business as promotion looks to continue to capitalize on the buzz and momentum of not only Monet's arrival, but Okada's and Will Ospreay's and etc. And they got to hype up the Dynasty pay-per-view. And so while speaking with NBC Boston, Tony Khan said that Mercedes Monet will be one of the top faces of all elite wrestling. He said this: Mercedes is one of the greatest wrestlers in the world. She's going to help bring in new audiences from all over the world. Mercedes is not only someone who loves the wrestling business, loves getting in the ring and wrestling, but loves the fans. I think that's why Mercedes is perfect to be the face of AEW, end quote. So let's break down what he just said there. Mercedes Monet is one of the greatest wrestlers in the world. Yeah, I would say so. She's a very, very good wrestler. Is there better female talent out there than Mercedes in terms of in-ring ability? That's debatable. That's opinionated, right? Everyone's going to have a different opinion on that. Is she going to help bring in a new audience from all over the world? No. That is one of the knocks I will say on Mercedes. And it's not a huge knock because it's really a knock on Tony Khan for saying that. I don't understand this mindset that she's going to bring in new fans from all over the world. She's not. Mostly her fan base is from the United States. She brought U.S. fans to New Japan when she was over there working in Stardom in New Japan. Okay? I don't think she's going to bring in any Japan audience with her. An Okada, a Will Ospreay, a Kenny Omega, anyone from New Japan would bring in Japan fans, right? So I disagree with that. I'm sure she loves wrestling. Is she the perfect face to be AEW? Maybe. Maybe not. I think that's opinionated as well. I don't know how you would define who is the face of AEW right now. I think that's one of AEW's biggest challenges. Because you could say in 2023, who was the face of AEW? MJF, without a shadow of a doubt. When AEW first launched, who was the face of the promotion? Chris Jericho, who's their biggest star in 2019. Then you had the CM Punk run, right? And then you had MJF, and now it's like, who's going to be the face of it? And WWE for the last several years, who's been the face of the company? Roman Reigns. Who was before that? John Cena. Who was before that? Steve Austin, The Rock, then Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart, right? You could go down the list. So AEW does need to find their identity in that regard. That is something that Monet could fill the hole in, right? I don't know if she can necessarily be the face of the promotion. Could she be the face of the women's division? Well, I think the big check that Tony Khan signed to bring in Mercedes Monet is certainly something that he's hoping for, right? He didn't sign her to big money for no reason. He thinks that she can be a massive draw for him. I think you also have to look at Monet's signing as this. When AEW signed Monet, they banked on the idea of, okay, we're in this kind of renaissance for their women's division right now, and it has been for the last, I'd say 4 to 5 months, because AEW and Tony Khan have been criticized heavily among fans for the lackluster booking of the women's division. That is why they brought in Deonna Purrazzo. That's why they brought back Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb. They're still missing Britt Baker. They're still missing Jamie Hayter. They've been able to kind of keep everything together. They also lost Jade Cargill. That was a major loss, although that was earlier in 2023. I digress. But when you have your Jamie Hayters and your Britt Bakers back, well, that will definitely help your women's division. And bringing in someone like Monet is also going to greatly help the division, because there is a niche pocket of very supportive, hardcore, passionate female wrestling fans out there that are tremendous supporters. I have found that out firsthand on this channel. I'm very grateful for that fan base. And so if you can tap into that market, something that WWE has done with your Rhea Ripleys and your Liv Morgans and your Becky Lynches and your Io Skys, right? Those type of talent, then you can get a lot out of those fans, and you can give those fans a lot of things. And I think Tony Khan is banking on that with Mercedes Monet. It's also a risk, if you think about it, for Tony Khan, because just because Monet does have a big name and she has succeeded in WWE and New Japan, and she's made a lot of money and success and everything like that, and she's a big name, whenever you cast such a budget for a talent, you need some sort of ROI. And just, making your money back is not necessarily what he wants. He wants a big return on his investment. Whether or not he can, I don't know. That'll be more challenging with a female star because, historically speaking, they're not as big of draws as the men are. Hopefully that will change, though, and perhaps Monet is the person that can simply do that for AEW and Tony Khan. Let me know down in the comments area below, do you think Mercedes Monet is the face of AEW? And I will see y'all in the next video.